Let's go. We're live. Happy 2025. I think this is my first live of the new year. Happy 2025. Happy Thursday. Let's go. From Hobbyist to Pro 2.0 is happening. So let's talk about it. So, let me put it in here. Hello. I'm updating my thing. What's up, y'all? All right. Happy Thursday. What's going on? Hello. I hope everybody is doing good. This is my first live of 2025, y'all. So here we are. And it's so funny because when we started this year, I told myself I was going to go live once a week, and I have not done that. But we're gonna turn the tides because we're now in February. Does January really count? The answer is yes, January really counts, but we're in February, so we're going to turn some tides. But anyway, happy Thursday. I hope everyone is good. My name is Ray Whitney. I am a business coach to photographers. I help photographers make money and grow their business, change their life, and really just grow a business that feels really, really good to them. And I'm so excited because today the enrollment for From Hobbyist to Pro 2.0 opened today. And so I wanted to come on this live and talk a little bit about creating consistent work as a photographer, creating consistency in your work as a photographer, because to me, this is one of the most important first-ish steps you need to really master when we talk about going from hobbyist to pro, right? Is creating consistency in your style of work and how you create as a photographer. So if you are a photographer and you're here listening, first of all, invite your photography friends. Let me send this to some people so some people can join me in the live. I don't know. I'm going to invite some photography friends here. So invite some photographer friends to join in the live. And let's talk about consistency and style of work. As always, if you have questions for me, you can definitely drop them in the chat. I love a good live chit chat. If anything resonates with you, just like, give me some hearts, give me some love. I would really love and appreciate that. So I just want to talk a little bit about creating consistency in your style of work. Again, this is one of the first steps that I think is so important when it comes to growing as a pro photographer, right? So when I think about consistency and style of work, the first thing that comes to mind for me is that you have to know your go-to gear. You have to know what you like to create with as a photographer. Like, what is your go-to gear? What are the arsenals that are in your bag that always need to be with you based on the session that you're shooting, and is your go-to gear? Now, what I realize and notice about a lot of photographers that are just getting started and wanting to grow their business is that they get so overwhelmed and bogged down on what gear to buy, right? Like, what should they be getting next? And, just really understanding, like, you just, in this gear world, photographers, we love gear talk, okay? Nikon this, Canon this, Sony that, Fuji this. And while gear is really important, it's really important, don't get me wrong, it's not everything when it comes to growing a business, right? So one thing I also notice is that some photographers when you're first starting, you get this fancy camera, or you get this camera package, and it comes with a kit lens. Now, a kit lens is literally the most basic lens that a camera can come with. And as you're growing from hobbyist to pro, you need to know these terms. Maybe not necessarily the terms, but you need to understand why a kit lens is going to hold you back from being able to freely create versus going to buy an additional lens for your camera body, right? So the first step in creating that consistency in your style of work is knowing your go-to gear. If you're a photographer listening, please put some cameras in the chat. I just want to know if you're here or you're on the replay. If you're watching the replay, put #replay so I can know later on and I can chit chat with you. But if you're a photographer, put some cameras here, because photographers know, right? Consistency, again, the consistency in your style of work, to me, is one of the first things that you need to master when it comes to really going pro, turning pro, becoming a pro. And so knowing your go-to gear. And when it comes to the camera body, not just using your kit lens. Now, the kit lens is not going to allow you to freely set your aperture settings, right? It's not going to allow you to freely create in whatever light you find yourself in. Okay. So if there's some photographers here, put some cameras in the chat, please. I would love that, because I want to make sure I'm talking to my photographers who understand what I'm saying, right? So the first step in that creating consistent style of work is knowing your go-to gear. For me, I am a 50 girl. I love my 50 millimeter lens, especially when I'm shooting any type of portraits, or any type of, any type of portrait, right? I'm going to use my 50. It doesn't matter. The only time I won't immediately grab for my 50 is if I'm at an event of some sort and I'm using a 24-70 so that I can just have a little bit more focal range in what I'm able to capture, that type of thing. Okay, thank you, Vanette, for putting it in the comments. I got some photographers here. I have some photographers here, okay? So we're talking a little bit about creating consistency in your style of work. The reason I'm talking about this is because this is one of the first things I believe it's so important to master when you are turning pro as a photographer. I went through this journey, right? I've always loved photography since I was a little girl, and graduating from Howard, I bought myself a camera. I bought myself this expensive camera, right, as my graduation present. Expensive meaning I think I spent like $500 or $600, but at the time that was the most I had ever spent on a camera. And I was, I didn't know much about shooting in manual and all the different modes, aperture priority and shutter priority and program mode and manual mode. I didn't know anything. I was always pretty much shooting in auto, whatever. So long story short, I took this photography class in 2011 to learn how to shoot in manual, to learn how to manipulate light in studio, to learn my camera. And the first thing my teacher said back in the day when I took this class in 2011 is that you have to go and get a 50 millimeter 1.8 lens. That is the lens we were required to have for this class. And it's so important. It makes so much sense, because the kit lens that comes on your first camera, first expensive camera, your body, whatever, that kit lens is just not going to do it for you. It's going to limit you in your ability to manipulate shape, light, and tones. And you're not going to be able to have a consistent style, like the aperture setting. These things are important when we're talking about creating consistency in your style of work. So I hope this is resonating. So again, I just wanted to hop on. Enrollment for From Hobbyist to Pro 2.0 is open. If you are From Hobbyist to Pro member, because I see some of y'all here. Let me know in the comments. Say, I'm here, girl. I'm in the building, because I've had a good amount of photographers go through this program. It's been such an honor to work and meet photographers at this level and teach the foundational business knowledge to grow your business. And when I think about what is one of the first steps in growing your business and turning pro and making more money, is having a consistent style of work, right? So knowing your go-to gear, really understanding the exposure triangle. I don't know if this live is where I need to teach the exposure triangle, but baby, I love to break down the exposure triangle. I love to help people understand what it takes to really create great images from a actual fundamental standpoint. There is science to it. Now, art is subjective, and it's meant to color outside of the lines, but there is science to creating fundamentally strong images as a photographer, or maybe even pushing against the grain and doing something blurry or movement. And there's science to it, right? So really understanding the exposure triangle is huge and big. Hey, Simone, I see you. Yes, she's one of my From Hobbies to Pro. Listen, Simone, check your email, because you're coming to 2.0, okay? You come in. So more details on that for my members that have, whether you are currently a member, were a member, enrolled years ago, it doesn't matter. You have the opportunity to attend 2.0 with me for free. And I'm so excited. I'm really, really excited for this. Okay. And if you want to join From Hobbyist to Pro, you want to be a part of the 2.0 content, the trainings, the material, understand my framework for going from hobbyist to pro, come and join, and I'm going to start a DM conversation with you, okay? So we can talk about it more. This is for photographers who want to build a sustainable business, right? Who know it's time to focus on the business and turn pro and be intentional about understanding what it means to be a business owner and an entrepreneur. So we're talking about consistency and style of work, okay? Knowing your go-to gear, understanding the exposure triangle, right? Understanding the range and aperture that you like to shoot, within. I believe and have taught this concept. I believe in it, that aperture is one of the fundamental settings that help define your style of work as a photographer. In how you set your aperture consistently in your work is a fundamental determining piece of style of work as a photographer. So again, when I go back to the conversation that a lot of photographers like to have is like, what gear should I get? What camera should I get? Whatever. I think that the lenses that you have is just as important as the camera body. I do, right? I believe that prime lenses help you create really stronger images and give you the ability to fully control every fundamental setting of photography: shutter speed, aperture, ISO, right? And these, knowing this, understanding that the lens is what controls the aperture capability of a frame, of an image. It's the lens. Understanding that as a pro is everything, right? So if I have my 51.8 on and then I switch to my 24 to 70 2.8, I have to know that my light is going to switch in the frame, right? Because my 1.8 is going to allow more light to come in the lens, and the 2.8 is going to be a little bit less, but still a great lens, right? So you have to really understand the exposure triangle and understand what gear does, and how this plays very critical roles in creating consistency in your work. And when we think about creating consistency in your work, this is what clients pay for. They see your work, they love your work, they want your work, right? And as a photographer, we have to know how to recreate that work, no matter kind of what scenes you find yourself in. So let's talk about some scenes and environments, because that's the next thing to this. Yes, I just ordered it. Ooh, Sierra, hello, girl. What lens did you get? I want to know. What lens did you get? I'm interested. Okay, so the other piece to creating consistency in your work is really knowing how to shape and find yourself in the type of lighting environments that you want to be in. Photography is nothing but manipulating light, right? And really knowing as a pro photographers control shooting environments. Unless you're shooting like an event or a wedding or something that's like all these hours that might go from scene to scene to scene, and you're really just capturing the event and you're just in it, then you may not fully be able to control the light that you find yourself in, but you absolutely can bring your own light to the party, okay? So, but if we're talking about portraits, whether it is graduation portraits, birthday portraits, senior portraits, engagement sessions, wedding day portraits, anniversary portraits, family portraits, it does not matter. A pro photographer is going to control the shooting environment that they place themselves in with their clients. Period. We're going to. Now, that might mean that we're going to shoot at a studio that's going to warrant us natural light that we really love, right? At a certain time of day, thinking about all those things. Or that means that we're going to have our lights, right? Our off-camera flashes, our 8200s, our Godox, and we're going to have our diffusers, right? We're going to have our reflectors. We're going to have our modifiers, and we're going to know how to use those things. This is what pros do. Ooh, 24 to 70, F2, Sierra, you cutting up. That lens right there is one of those lenses that I wish that Nikon would have. I really do. I do. That's a beautiful lens. It's never going to come off your camera body. It's never going to come off. I love that. So anyway, like I said, a pro is going to know and be able to identify the type of light and shooting environments they like to create in. That's what pros do, right? Like if I'm shooting an engagement session or some type of branding portrait session, I'm not going to let the client dictate and tell me what time of day and where we're shooting. Like I'm going to be the professional, and I'm going to make these suggestions based on my style of work, how I like to create, the vision that they have, and my vision that I want to create with them as the professional. That people hire you because they like your style and they want to see themselves in the images that you create, right? So unless you're if you're shooting an event or you're shooting weddings, yes, the light changes, things change constantly, but that's when you bring your light in. Bring your light stands in, bring your modifiers in, right? Bring the things that's going to light the room up. Really understand how to use flash. This is what pros do. So if any of this resonated, if you're a photographer, please put some cameras in the chat. Hi, Sandra. What's up? You joined my live. I love that. If you're a photographer, please put some cameras in the chat. Again, from hobbyist to pro, enrollment is open. And I'm really, really excited about it. It is the 2.0 version. So what does that mean, 2.0? I am going to be teaching, so From Hobbyist to Pro is like a 5-part framework on going pro, turning pro, making your first $20,000, $25,000, $30,000 in your business. Maybe you're at zero right now. You're like, Ray, but I would love to make $25,000 this year. That it can be possible. It really can, right? But you have to be intentional and you have to use strategy, right? So we're not photographers for everyone. We're photographers for those that we're called to create with. We create in a specific kind of way. And we market ourselves in a specific kind of way for our audience, right? And these are the concepts that I'm going to be teaching in From Hobbyist to Pro 2.0. I'm going to be hosting a 5-week, all of April, starting April 2nd, every Wednesday evening for 5 weeks. I'm going to host a live training teaching about these concepts. So identifying your ideal client, creating your first website, understanding what strategic content looks like and strategic marketing, right? Pricing. We're going to be going over all of these things that make up my From Hobbyist to Pro framework that's going to help you be more intentional and strategic in your photography business this year so you can fully turn pro confidently, you know what I mean? And you can build something sustainable and something that makes you feel proud. And you know, you're turning into that entrepreneur. Like, this is what it's about. So I talked today about really like creating consistency in your style of work, because this is one of the first steps that it takes when we talk about turning pro, is mastering your style of work, being able to articulate what that style of work is to potential clients, in marketing messaging, to yourself, right? Like really feeling good about your work. I think that I realized that some photographers, especially early on, obsess over all of these other photographers' work, images, website, pricing, you know, paying attention to those things that you don't need to be paying attention to, right? I want you to learn how to obsess about your work. I want you to learn how to create stronger work. I want you to learn how to really use that exposure triangle to the best of your ability. I want you to really understand what it looks like to turn pro and be an entrepreneur, be a business owner, right? And make the money that you desire. So From Hobbyist to Pro literally is going to teach you the foundational business pieces, the blueprint, give you the business blueprint, right? To build a solid foundational, something that's sustainable and is going to get you booked and busy. Yes, because Kim, listen, the work has come so far. I'm a bit obsessive of others. I hear you, Sierra. I hear you. We've talked about it. I already know. And there's nothing wrong with like loving another photographer's work and being inspired by other photographers. But I think that we have to have the awareness and realize that when it is to your detriment, when it's not really helping you at all, when it's now sending you into comparison mode, or like imposter syndrome, or, you know, having you go down through negative thoughts and spiral thoughts about your own work, your own business, what you're capable of doing. Like, I believe that when you start minding your business and you start being intentional and being strategic in business, things really start to move in a different way for you, right? And this From Hobbyist to Pro is a great opportunity for photographers to do that. So this program is best for beginner photographers, like literally hobbyist to pro, someone that maybe doesn't have a website, or they're creating their first website. They've never really made like over $5, $6, $7, maybe $10,000 in their business. Maybe they don't even know if they ever made that much. They really want to grow a business, right? They have the camera, they've shot with clients here and there, and that's okay. I think that this season that you're in, you need to shoot with everybody, right? You need to be really learning who you like to create with and how you like to create. Because at that next level, that's where we start to refine, like, the pricing, and we get to level up in the pricing, all those things. It's levels to this, literally. Okay. And so I am just giving this opportunity, this foundational business opportunity for photographers who want to get booked and want to build a sustainable business, right? Like, You want to be able to look at the end of the year and be like, wow, I did make $20,000 in my business. Like, I can't believe that. Like, I did have people pay me X amount for my services. Like, I figured it out. And now I'm, kind of at that next level. Like, if that's something that you want to happen in 2025, because you've been playing small, this program is absolutely for you. And the early bird rate is going on right now. So it's 5 weeks, live training, all in April. You get access to the curriculum for 12 months. 12 months. I have trainings on lighting, post-production, shooting, getting published, mindset of an entrepreneur. I have everything in there. Creating your first website, like all the things. You get access to all of those trainings for a year. And you get to spend 5 weeks with me in April. And we're going to be doing the 2.0 content. This is all for $247, y'all. $247, or you can get started right now for $99. This is the early bird rate, and this rate goes away in 8 days. Okay, so enrollment is open for 2.0. Literally, I have had over 100 photographers go through this program. Some have gone to go full-time in their business. Some have gone to scale to 6 figures, 50,000, 25,000. One of my girls, she literally made more than she had ever made in her business working through this program, and is like just growing. It's just flourishing, right? And so that can be for you, right? It takes accountability, it takes strategy, it takes intentionality, right? And really learning about what it takes to be a business owner, okay? It's easy to buy a camera. It's easy to upgrade a lens, right? It's easy to call yourself a photographer, but actually getting booked and charging what you're worth and attracting clients that love your style, feeling confident in your style, all of that, it takes strategy, right? It takes discipline. It takes courage. And I'm here to help those photographers they're ready. They're like, Ray, you pulling at me. This was for me. If it's for you, I can't wait to see you inside of From Hobbyist to Pro 2.0. And again, early bird rate is happening. It is enrollment day today, and we'll go all the way through March. I'm excited to fill the seats, and I'm excited to see the people in the room. This is a steal. It's a no-brainer. Baby, let's go. One booking and you already made your money back, and we're going to do that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm excited for this program and to help teach this foundational business information. Okay, so I will catch y'all later. This live was fun. I got to go, and have a good evening. See you on the inside.